So when it comes to Medicare, number one, as most know, there's Part A, Part B, Part C, Part D. Well, when it comes to HEDIS measures, there are specific measures that are built around Part C, which are prevention and chronic diseases. Part C measures, these are some of the more common measures that you will see when it comes into Part C. HEDIS really is just another variation of stars, and HEDIS measures are the measures that give you the star rating. So it does get a little bit more complex, but when it comes to Part C measures, BMI must be reported at least once a year. Care for older adults. So when it comes to care for older adults, there are certain assessments, certain screenings that you must do. Some of the big ones, advanced care planning, right? Everyone needs to have an advanced directive, and those advanced care planning needs to be done. And then once you do it, it's not enough just to have it in your EMR or have it in your records. You also have a CPT code that you must bill to the plan and to CMS to ensure that they know it's done. You must review the medications. Same thing, you must bill a CPT code. And also pain assessment. You must do the pain assessment yearly and also must bill certain CPT codes. Breast cancer screening, colorectal screening, we've talked about them. Osteoporosis management, RA treatment. If a patient has rheumatoid arthritis that has been actually billed via claims, then you must have them on a DMARD. If they refuse a DMARD, or if they don't take it, or you don't have it in the records and you don't bill the CPT code, then you're losing out on that measure.
Disease modifying, anti-rheumatoid.
Yeah, DMARDs, yeah. Diabetes, so A1C testing needs to be done, but you can see in there bolded, triple weighted, A1C level must be less than 9. And one of the things that you've got to realize is the last reading has to be less than 9. So let's say you order an A1C and you get it done December 28th or 29th, right after Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. That A1C may be out of control. If you get it above 9, no matter how well you're trying to adjust the medications, trying to follow up with them in a couple of weeks, you still miss out on that measure. So we're not saying don't order the A1C at the end of the year, but probably want to get it done before the holidays, so that way you have it less than 9, especially if you've been working so hard throughout the year. We know some patients are going to slip up around the holidays. Of course, we want to help them right after the holidays, get it tested and make sure we adjust medications if we need to, but you don't want a 9.1 on the record just because you ordered it at the wrong time of the year. Eye exams need to be done. Of course, if a patient gets hospitalized, must get a medication reconciliation done post-discharge. Blood pressure, the last blood pressure reading of the year must be less than 140/90, must be less than 140/90. So you need to teach your team, your MAs, if they take a blood pressure, comes back at 140/90 and it's December 20th, there's probably a high likelihood that patient's not coming back in. So maybe wait 15 or 20 minutes and retake that blood pressure to see if we can get it below 140/90. And of course, flu vaccination. So vaccines are very important. I also have been hearing through the grapevine that COVID vaccine may get added to this HEDIS/STAR measure. So something to keep in mind. And then we'll go to Part D quickly. There's a few on the next slide.
Before we do, let me mention a couple of things. You notice right up at the top is adult BMI management. Diabetes in and of itself is a whole section. For those docs, and I'm one of them, that think that diabetes tends to drive 80% of the other problems, this helps underline the importance of this issue. You and I were talking prior to recording this video about the current fad of GLP-1s coming out, Ozempic, Wegovy, Rybelsus. Those things are not just weight loss drugs. Ozempic is really not FDA approved for weight loss. It's approved for management of diabetes. So there's a lot going on. For guys like me who do cardiovascular prevention, we keyed in on Ozempic because of the CVOT trials. That stands for cardiovascular outcome trials. The FDA recognized that a diabetes drug is not so much all about what it does with diabetes alone. It's about what it does to prevent cardiovascular outcomes. And that's over the past few years, Ozempic and the other GLP-1s or incretins have just been knocking it out of the park in terms of saving people's lives, preventing heart attacks and strokes. And again, if you're a guy like me who's done cardiovascular prevention for year after year after year, isn't surprising at all that the number one weight loss drug out there also happens to be saving more lives and cardiovascular outcomes.
So medication adherence is also triple weighted. And when we say triple weighted, if getting a mammogram counts as 1 point, doing the medication adherence for hypertensive meds or diabetic meds counts as 3 points. So it shows you kind of how important cardiovascular disease is to not just CMS, but as we all know, to the human body as well as the health. It is important for diabetics and individuals with cardiovascular disease to be on statins. Now, if they don't tolerate statins, what do you do? Well, there's a specific CPT code that you have to bill and certain documentation you must have to make sure that that patient gets excluded because of myopathy or some sort of statin intolerance. So it's not as simple as just putting statin intolerance. There are certain things and certain pieces that you must do. So that's where we can help you ensure that you're not getting dinged for not doing something that honestly you are doing. You're saying that the patient can't tolerate statins, but there's certain pieces that you must also do, and we're going to help you with that as well.
You know, if you could send me that, I've got a big issue with that with my PrevMed practice.
Yeah.
Because it's so driven by people that watch the internet, which are people that are going to be worried about statins.
This is a nice little cheat sheet, and these are the type of tools that we've got for you, which will give you some of the most common HEDIS measures and tell you exactly what you need to do. So we'll be able to get you these for your office, but more importantly, we'll be able to make sure that every patient that you have has all of these measures done. And if not, we'll tell you exactly what you need to do and how you need to do it.